In 1952, the United States had more reported sightings of unidentified flying objects than in any year before or since. Over 1,500 incidents in 12 months. The Air Force was overwhelmed. The CIA was alarmed, not by the objects themselves, but by the public's interest in them. So, a decision was made, not to investigate harder, to make the question itself disappear. What followed was one of the most successful campaigns of intellectual suppression in modern history, not through force, not through law, through something far more effective: stigma. For 70 years, the scientific establishment, the one institution humanity built specifically to ask hard questions, has refused to ask the hardest one. Are we alone? And if we're not, what is flying through our skies? This is the story of that refusal, the mechanisms that enforce it, and the handful of researchers who decided the cost of silence was greater than the cost of their careers. January 1953. The CIA convened a classified meeting at the Pentagon. 5 physicists, led by Howard Percy Robertson of Caltech, were given 4 days to review the UFO problem. 4 days to assess years of military reports, radar data, and pilot testimony. Their conclusion wasn't really about evidence, it was about perception management. The Robertson Panel's classified recommendation stated that the national security agencies should take immediate steps to strip the phenomenon of its aura of mystery and institute a policy of debunking. Their words, not mine. The report specifically recommended that public interest in UFOs be actively discouraged and that civilian UFO research groups be monitored for subversive activity. This wasn't science, it was strategy. The Robertson Panel didn't resolve the UFO question. It made the question itself radioactive, and it worked. Within a decade, any serious scientist who expressed interest in the topic understood, instinctively, completely, that their career was at risk. In 1966, the Air Force contracted the University of Colorado to conduct what was supposed to be the definitive scientific study of UFOs, led by physicist Edward Condon. It was meant to settle the matter once and for all. But before the study even began, project coordinator Robert Loeb wrote an internal memo that was later leaked. It read, "The trick would be, I think, to describe the project so that, to the public, it would appear a totally objective study, but to the scientific community would present the image of a group of non-believers trying their best to be objective, but having an almost zero expectation of finding a saucer." The Condon Report was released in 1968. Its conclusion: UFOs merited no further scientific attention. But buried within the report's own pages, roughly 30% of the cases examined remained unexplained, even by the study's own investigators. The summary contradicted the data. It didn't matter. The scientific establishment had its permission slip to walk away. And walk away it did. The price of defiance was made clear through example. James McDonald, a senior atmospheric physicist at the University of Arizona, was arguably the most qualified scientist to ever study UFOs. He testified before Congress in 1968, presenting meticulously documented cases. His colleagues responded with ridicule. Congressman Philip Klass waged a personal campaign to discredit him. McDonald's funding dried up. In 1971, he took his own life. The causes were complex and personal, but the professional destruction he endured was not incidental. John Mack, a Pulitzer Prize-winning psychiatrist at Harvard Medical School, began studying individuals who reported anomalous contact experiences in the early 1990s. In 1994, Harvard convened a special committee to investigate his research. The first time in the university's history it had subjected a tenured professor to such review for the content of their scholarly inquiry. Mac was ultimately cleared, but the message was unmistakable. Peter Sturrock, a Stanford astrophysicist, surveyed members of the American Astronomical Society in 1977. He found that over half believed UFOs deserved scientific study, but most were unwilling to say so publicly. The stigma wasn't about evidence, it was about survival. The suppression of UAP research doesn't require a conspiracy. It requires only a system, and the system is elegant in its simplicity. Federal science funding in the United States flows primarily through agencies like the National Science Foundation, NASA, and the Department of Energy. Grant proposals undergo peer review. If your peers consider your topic illegitimate, your proposal dies. No review panel will risk its own reputation by approving UAP research. No department chair will advocate for it. No tenure committee will reward it. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle. No funding means no research. No research means no publishable data. No data means no credibility. No credibility means no funding. The loop is closed. Dr. Gary Nolan, a Stanford immunologist with over 300 publications and 40 patents, described the dynamic bluntly in a 2023 interview. The stigma is the strategy. It always has been. Nolan, who has studied materials allegedly associated with UAP encounters, has been open about colleagues warning him to stop. He didn't. But he also had tenure, a massive publication record, and independent funding. Most scientists don't. In 2017, the first known interstellar object passed through our solar system. Astronomers named it Oumuamua. It was flat, reflective, and accelerated away from the Sun in a way that couldn't be fully explained by outgassing alone. Most astronomers proposed natural explanations and moved on. Avi Loeb, then chair of Harvard's astronomy department, did not. He published a paper suggesting the object's properties were consistent with an artificial light sail. The backlash was immediate and fierce. But Loeb had something most UAP-curious scientists lack: institutional armor. A tenured professorship at Harvard, over 1,000 published papers. He leveraged that position to launch the Galileo project in 2021, the first systematic, academically based effort to search for physical evidence of extraterrestrial technological artifacts near Earth using scientific instruments. The project deployed its first observatory system at Harvard in 2023. As of 2025, it operates with privately donated funding, roughly $5 million, because no federal science agency has provided support. Loeb himself has noted the paradox. We spend billions searching for microbial biosignatures on Mars, but zero investigating anomalous objects in our own atmosphere. On July 26, 2023, former intelligence officer David Grush testified under oath before the House Oversight Committee that the United States government possesses materials of non-human origin and has operated retrieval programs for decades. Commander David Fravor and Ryan Graves corroborated with their own accounts of encounters with objects demonstrating capabilities beyond known human technology. The testimony was extraordinary. The scientific community's response was nearly non-existent. No major scientific institution issued a call for investigation. No professional society demanded access to the data Grush described. The American Association for the Advancement of Science was silent. Nature and Science, the two most influential journals in the world, covered the hearings as political news, not as a scientific imperative. By December 2024, the Senate was working to establish a UAP disclosure framework under the UAP Disclosure Act, initially championed by Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Mike Rounds. Even as legislators pushed for transparency, the scientific establishment remained fundamentally disengaged. The institutions designed to evaluate extraordinary claims about physical reality simply opted out. They are few, but they exist. Gary Nolan at Stanford has analyzed biological samples from individuals allegedly exposed to UAP at close range, publishing peer-reviewed work on brain structure anomalies in the journal American Journal of Pathology. Kevin Knuth, a physics professor at the University of Albany, has published statistical analyses of UAP flight characteristics and openly advocates for serious study. Beatrice Villaroel, a Stockholm University astronomer, has led a project identifying transient objects in historical sky surveys that appear and vanish without explanation. The Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, the SCU, operates as a volunteer organization of scientists and engineers who conduct analyses outside the institutional framework because the institutional framework won't have them. These researchers share common traits. Most have tenure or emeritus status. Most fund their UAP work privately or through donations. Most describe a bifurcated professional life. Their real work earns grants and respect. Their UAP work earns sideways glances. They are the exception that illuminates the rule. Science isn't avoiding UAPs because the evidence is weak. It's avoiding UAPs because the professional cost of engagement is catastrophic. Consider what 70 years of institutional paralysis has cost. We have military pilots reporting objects that demonstrate instantaneous acceleration, transmedium travel, and apparent anti-gravity propulsion. Observations made with some of the most sophisticated sensor systems on Earth. If even a fraction of these observations reflect a genuine physical phenomenon, the scientific implications are staggering. New physics, new propulsion concepts, possibly the most transformative discovery in human history. And we have committed essentially zero institutional scientific resources to finding out. NASA's 2023 independent study team on UAP, led by Mark McMillan and later David Spergel, recommended that the agency take an active role in UAP research. NASA appointed a director of UAP research, Mark McInerney, but did not publicly announce his name for weeks, reportedly due to harassment concerns. The position came with no dedicated budget line. By 2025, concrete NASA-led UAP research initiatives remain minimal. The cost isn't just scientific, it's civilizational. We may be witnessing a phenomenon that reshapes our understanding of physics, intelligence, and our place in the universe. And our best tool for understanding it, the scientific method, applied with rigor and institutional support, remains sheathed. There are signs, small, fragile, but real, that the wall is cracking. In 2024, Sol Foundation, a new think tank co-founded by Stanford's Gary Nolan and political scientist Peter Sisko, convened its second annual symposium, bringing together academics, former intelligence officials, and congressional staffers to discuss UAP seriously and openly. Peer-reviewed papers on UAP are appearing slowly in legitimate journals. The Galileo project continues to collect data. But make no mistake, the structural incentives have not changed. A young astrophysicist at a major university who proposes UAP research for their dissertation will still be advised firmly and quietly to choose another topic. The Stigma machine is old, but it is not broken. The question is whether the current moment, congressional pressure, whistleblower testimony, and a slow accumulation of public interest will be enough to override 70 years of engineered silence, or whether the system will do what it has always done, wait for the spotlight to move on, and let the darkness settle back in. History will judge us not only by what we discovered, but by what we refuse to look at. And why?